And if we could, Jody, we'd like to have you say a few words. We will waive the fact that you are not wearing a tie. It was duly noted previously, but you've earned it.
Yeah, thank you. First, giving honor to God. Thank you, Senator Pro Tem and Madam President, Senator Fuller. All right, where's my boy Huff? He's around here somewhere. And Senator Monning, thank you. I thought I might win this award, so I prepared. No, I just simply did not want to forget. After, almost 27 years of just working in a wonderful place, It's been fantastic. And it's only been fantastic because of the wonderful people that I've had the privilege to work with. And for that, I am grateful. People ask me, hey, are you excited? Are you happy? I said, as my friend Senator Mitchell would say, with regards to being able to retire, everybody's not able. And so I am grateful to be able to do so. As far as my time here, I've had the privilege to work with a lot of people. And it starts with the folks in Department of General Services, the custodial staff with whom I've had a great relationship, the maintenance staff, the electricians, that I always asked them if they needed any help, I could hit a light switch, because that's really all I can do. And then the folks in the Parks Department, the tour office, the volunteer docents downstairs who do a wonderful job here for the people of the state of California. And the tour office, they've been so gracious, because I go places where I'm not supposed to go. I turn off alarms. I do things. If Bernie only knew how many fourth graders I've had up at the rostrum banging the gavel, she would not be pleased. But it is their house, and so I never had any qualm in doing so. And then, of course, all the countless friends I've met over the years in the Lieutenant Governor's office, the Governor's office, our friends, yes, I said our friends over in the Assembly, and all of them as well. I'm careful not to mention names for fear of leaving someone out, but I do have to mention our Chief Sergeant Debbie Manning, who's been so gracious to me since she's come back, and I thank you. And her Deputy Chief, Katrina Rodriguez, who I love, thank you, wherever she is. Typically, she's hiding in the back by the door, so I will assume she's there. But I thank them. And then there's the staff. I can't tell you how many staff I've been able to become friends with over the years, and we've been to weddings together, funerals together. We've cried, we've prayed, we've laughed, we've danced, we've done it all, and they have become family for all those years. And so for all the staff, thank you. Oh, hey, that's my mother.
Madam President, just one correction. I don't think this is Jody's mother. This is Jody's sister right here.
Yes. Whoever she done good. She done good.
And so one of the things I learned over the years to get, the members' attention, if you start all your statements with, in closing. See, they love that. So just a little secret. But again, with the staff members that are like family. And so I thank you. And then there was, again, hesitating to call out names, but there was one staffer who definitely stood out over the years. And that's your Senator Holly Mitchell. And so, Holly and I met a long time ago. And I will say that I am privileged to be the godfather of her son. For those that did not know that, just the other day, because we're professionals. See, we didn't let that, we tried to. But the other day, she showed me pictures of us dancing and partying at her 29th birthday. And yeah, just last year. And again, I'm not sure what I was wearing, but that's another story. So, but I have, it's been such a pleasure watching you through the years. And I have never been so proud as to stand up at the rostrum with you. So thank you. And just finally, you know, you know, this is California, in which we're so richly blessed to be so diverse. And you know, Nebraska, you know, they have the unicameral system, but when your only concerns are corn and Nebraska football, you can have a unicameral system, right? Okay. But in California, we have so many people of so many walks of life, and while some of you, most of you have poor people in your districts, all of you have people who are hurting in your districts. And so we have to look out for those people. And while I appreciate a do no harm philosophy, I appreciate so much a doing what's good and doing good. And I thank Holly for your example in that and for all of you. And one of the most proud things about working in this institution is working with so many folks that have done their best to do good for the state of California. And so I know that you will continue to do so. I thank you for that. And if I may, Madam President, just I say with all sincerity, if I had money, I'd give you money, but I got none. I do say from the bottom and with all of my heart and all of my being, I say to the members here, to this institution, to the staff, as Moses taught Aaron to pray for his people, may the Lord God bless you, may the Lord God keep you and be gracious to all of you, and may the Lord God's countenance be lifted upon all of you and give you peace. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sergeant Barnett. You have been a very special member of our family. We will miss you. Senator Mitchell, would you like to close?
Thank you very much, Madam President. And let me just thank you for your indulgence. For the man who didn't want a retirement floor ceremony, it clearly got very good to him. Good, he didn't hear that. We just want to acknowledge on behalf of the Chief Sergeant, the number of sergeants who have come today who are retirees who served with Jody over a number of years, as well as a number of his friends who've joined us in the gallery as well. Just in closing, when you've been around 27 years, there are interesting photos. There's a photo that I think we'll have at the basement cafeteria reception with a very size 8 svelte, dark hair Holly Mitchell, and a Jody Barnett with a head full of hair. You might want to go to the reception just to see the photos. But again, we invite all of the members of the Senate and staff to the basement cafeteria for a reception immediately upon adjournment. Thank you for your indulgence, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator
It's right
Mitchell.
now, according to the Chief Sergeant. The reception has begun now for staff. Thank you.
Well, we have a few more matters, but hope everyone will participate. Thank you, Senator Mitchell. And again, thank you to our now retired Sergeant Jody Barnett for his elegance and being such a special member to our family. Senator Block, I believe you have also a resolution you would like to present.
Yeah,
Senator
thank you,
Block.
Madam President. That's a very hard act to follow, and add my congratulations to Jody. But there's a member of my staff I want to congratulate as well. Many of you know Shai Forbes. She's a legislative aide in my office. Shai, like Senator Lara and Senator Glazer, is an Aztec, and like me, is a major Aztec basketball fan. She's done a great job in my office. She's become an expert in many areas, but in particular, she's an expert in the area of energy, and she's just gotten a job with the California Energy Commission, so she'll be leaving the legislature. And I just want to wish her the best of luck and present her with a resolution to thank her for many years of work on behalf of the people of California.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Shai, and the best of luck to you as well. Are there any other privileges of the floor? Seeing none, we will move on. Messages from the governor will be deemed read. Messages from the assembly will be deemed read. Reports of committee will be deemed read and amendments adopted. Under motions, resolutions, and notices, members without objections, Joint Rule 62A will be waived for the Appropriations Committee to meet and report on Thursday without 2 days' notice in the daily file. Motions, resolutions, and notices. Are there any others? Seeing none. Under introductions and first reading of bills, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 884 by Senator Bell, an act relating to special education.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Under consideration of the daily file, under second reading file, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Joint Resolution 15.
Under Governor's appointments, file item 41. Senator De Leon, do you wish to take up this item? Senator De Leon.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, we have 3 confirmations before us. We have Arlene Phoebe Beasley, James Earp, as well as Carl Guardino. These are all confirmations that the governor has before us today. Arlene Phoebe Beasley, as well as Stephen Oliver, are for members of the California Arts Council. Mr. Guardino, as well as Mr. Earp, as well as, we don't have it on the screen, but I know you have it before you on paper, Mr. James Madifer, are members of the CTC, the California Transportation Commission. They are being reappointed to the CTC. With that, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Any debate or discussion on these appointments? Any debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Bates. Aye. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Block. Aye. Canella. Aye. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Gaggiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Hueso. Aye. Huff. Aye. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leyva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. Aye. Morrell. Aye. Wynn. Aye. Nilsson. Aye. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Aye. Stone. Aye. Vidak. Wachowski. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Please
Aye.
call the absent members.
Vidak, aye.
Ayes 40, no 0. Those appointments are confirmed. Under Senate third reading, file item 43. File item 43, Senator Pan, do you wish to take up that item? Pass on file. File item 44 is the consent calendar. Colleagues, the consent calendar. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 616.
Any debate or discussion? All right, any objection to substituting the unanimous roll call on this item? Seeing no objection, ayes 40, no 0. The consent calendar is adopted. Returning to motions and resolutions, this is the time to adjourn in memory. We have several that have been requested, and we will start with those. Senator Hall has 2 adjourns in the memory. We will follow that by Senator Gaines, then Senator Bates, and then Senator Leno. Senator Hall.
Thank you, Madam President. Today I rise to adjourn in memory of one of the most precious individuals in my life, and that's my grandmother, Dorothy Dale Morrison Gorton. She was born on April 5th, 1926 in Mahalia, Texas. And my grandmother was a woman of great accomplishment that never let racism, segregation, or society stop her from accomplishing her goals and serving her community. Prior to relocating to Los Angeles in 1955, my grandmother was deputized as the first African-American female clerk in Fort Worth, Texas, at the Fort Worth, Texas courthouse. In the 1960s, she was a nurse at the Los Angeles County General Hospital, where she was able to do one of the things that she did best, and that is care for and serve those in need. After 1965 Watts riot, she spoke to the McCone Commission to discuss the problems that plagued the community that she loved so much, and those issues dealing in the area of poverty and lack of jobs and reoccurring violence. In January of 1972, she purchased her first home in the great city of Compton. And adding to her many accomplishments, my grandmother received her bachelor's and master's degree in psychology in the 70s from the California State University, Dominguez Hills. In later years, she opened a tutorial service, which later developed into a full-service educational learning center named Applied Behavioral Science Institute. She owned and operated this educational institution for over 2 decades until her retirement in the 1990s. She instilled in her children and her grandchildren the importance of community service, political involvement, representation, and having a voice in the community. Without my grandmother's strong example, her guidance, her love, and her service, I would not be here standing as a senator representing the 35th Senate District of California. I love you, Grandma, and I ask that the state Senate adjourn her memory.
Thank you very much, and certainly our condolences to you and your family. Would you like to take up the next one now, or would you rather wait? Take it up now? Okie doke. Senator Hall. You want to wait? All right, so we'll move on. Senator Gaines.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask that we adjourn in memory today in honor of one of my constituents, Isaac Lowe of Reading. Isaac passed away in the early hours of December 31st. She is best known for being a pioneer of racial equality in Shasta County. Having moved from Texas in the 1940s to Reading, she experienced racism when she was denied numerous jobs despite having a business degree. Never allowing obstacles to derail her, she started the local chapter of the NAACP in 1950 and led an effort to post "No Room for Racism" signs around the county. Prominent members of the Reading community remember her as a tenacious, spirited, yet kind woman who for 17 years advocated for the city of Reading to recognize Martin Luther King Day Jr. as the January holiday. She is survived by her son, Robert. I ask that we adjourn in her memory for this tireless civil rights hero, Isaac Lowe, who truly has left the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gaines, and again, condolences to her family, and if you'd make sure that that be brought forward so we can properly memorialize it. Senator Bates, do you wish to bring an adjourn in the memory? Senator Bates.
Thank you, Madam President. I adjourn in memory today of Tommy Gwendolyn Gregg Brown, age 88, of Laguna Niguel, California, my hometown. She's a beloved wife, mother, grandmother, and friend who passed away on December 28, 2015, born July 10, 1927, in Wewoka, Oklahoma, to Ozella Vida and Thomas Webster. She is survived by her husband of 30 years, Joe Brown. He is the former Laguna Niguel mayor and council member. Her daughter, Joe Moore, daughter, Dow O'Brien, and her husband, Tracy O'Brien, grandsons, Nicholas, Greg, and Jeremy Fillmore. Gwen moved to Dallas, Texas as a young woman and made her life there for over 30 years before meeting Mayor Joe and moving to California, then residing in Laguna Niguel, close to the ocean she loved. For over 40 years, Gwen was a grateful member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and her personal story, which she shared with many, deeply influenced the lives of others and helped them with their substance addiction. Her kindness and sense of humor earned her countless friends as she was a role model and mentor to many. The family would like to thank her caregivers for their compassion and care of her in her last days: Marlene Baker, Marie Elias, Tina Rydom, Priscilla Marsh, and Bryce Marsh, for their extraordinary care and devotion given to her, which allowed her to pass on in peace, dignity, and love. A celebration of life was held at Laguna Niguel Presbyterian Church yesterday with several friends and family in attendance. I ask that we adjourn in her memory and give condolences at this time of grief to her family and friends.
Thank you, Senator Bates. And again, condolences will be extended and are extended through the Senate. Senator Leno, did you wish to proceed with an adjourn in memory? Then we will follow that with Senator Hall and then Senator Nielsen.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleague, I ask you to take a moment to join me in remembering a legendary San Franciscan who died on Saturday at age 82 after a battle with prostate cancer. That would be Wilkes Bashford, known mostly for his eponymous clothing store on Sutter Street, which he began in 1966, now with a worldwide reputation, setting a very high bar for style and fashion in San Francisco. But beyond that, Wilkes was really all about giving back to the community of San Francisco and why he is so beloved by San Franciscans. He had a special relationship with dogs, particular the dachshunds that he always had in his life. And as such, he was very involved with a number of community-based organizations, including Pets Are Wonderful Support, along with Muttville Senior Dog Rescue, but as well as Partners Ending Domestic Abuse. One of his major accomplishments, and one that he was probably most proud of, was as president of the War Memorial and Performing Arts Center Commission. He led a private fundraising drive which created a Veterans Memorial Monument between the Opera House and War Memorial Veterans Building, which was just dedicated 2 years ago. But again, known for grace and style, wit and charm, but mostly for befriending everyone who came into his life. A very, very dear man, a great San Franciscan, and I thank you for adjourning in his memory.
Thank you, Senator Leno. Clearly another loss for the great city of San Francisco. Senator Hall.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair and members, Madam President and members. I rise to adjourn in the memory of Jacqueline Sarah Dickinson Hutt Hickman. Ms. Hickman was born on December 29th, 1927, was the wonderful mother of my district director, Heather Hutt. Ms. Hickman graduated from Los Angeles High School and attended UC Berkeley before receiving a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics from UCLA, where she pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. Soon after college, Ms. Hickman met and married Donald Hugh Hutt and had 3 children, Heather, Ingrid, and Jimmy. Ms. Hickman's professional career began by teaching at-risk students at Dave Starr Jordan Skills Center and the Gardena Skills Center. As a small business owner, her community consciousness grew, inspiring her to become an advocate on behalf of the welfare rights mothers. She went on to work in the office of the Los Angeles Council member Bob Farrell, where she was hired to address food access disparities in minority communities, and was later promoted to the Housing and Block Grant Coordinator position. Additionally, Ms. Hickman was the author of 2 books, ran for Los Angeles City Council in 1983, and held leadership positions with the Los Angeles Business and Professional Women's Foundation, Black Agenda, Black Women's Forum, Jack and Jill, and the Foundation for the Junior Blind. Through her civic work, she welcomed civil rights leaders, including the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and President Mandela, to Los Angeles, and led numerous marches throughout Los Angeles demanding equality and civil rights for minorities and women. On top of her many years spent working to better her community, Ms. Hickman also had a direct impact on the work we do here in the legislature. In 2013, as a result of a traumatic incident involving Ms. Hickman, I authored and the governor signed AB 974, which now requires hospitals to make a reasonable attempt to notify a patient's emergency contact prior to transferring a patient between hospitals. She was a great servant to the people of the state of California, and she'll be greatly missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hall, and please extend condolences, the loss of another great Los Angelian. Senator Nielsen.
Thank you, Madam President and members. It is my honor today to ask that we adjourn the memory of one of our own, a man I did not have the pleasure of knowing, but a rarity, a Republican that represented part of San Francisco. John Busterud was an assemblyman. He represented San Rafael and part of San Francisco up until 1960, 66, I believe. He was born in Coos Bay, Oregon, served in World War II, was a distinguished man serving in the infantry and distinguished himself in his battalion in that they discovered a treasure trove of Nazi gold and art treasures that they had squired away. I believe there's a movie about this, if I remember correctly. This was in Meekers, Germany. He wrote a book about it called Below the Salt. He was awarded the Bronze Star, the Combat Infantry Badge, and he was later promoted and retired as a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. He then graduated from the Yale Law School and began a practice in San Francisco. And then he came and served 3 terms as a California State Assemblyman, leaving the State Assembly in 1966. He served what was then the 22nd District. And he served briefly as Assembly Minority Leader. It is said that he was the last Republican to represent Haight-Ashbury. President Nixon appointed him then to serve as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Environmental Quality, and then he later served as Chairman of the President's Council on Environmental Quality under President Gerald Ford. He was preceded in death by his wife of 62 years, Anne, his parents Herbert and Mary, and he leaves behind his children John, James, and Molly Dunlap, and grandchildren Becky and Tommy Busterud, Holt Spencer and Lily Dunlap, and Ellie Dunlap, and Rachel and James Busterud, Jr. A distinguished man who comported himself well and served this body honorably, made a great credit to his country. May we adjourn in honor of John Busterud.
Thank you, Senator Nielsen, and please extend our condolences to his family. Any other adjourn in the memory? Any other adjourn in the memory? Senator Allen, under announcements.
I just wanted to announce that the Elections and Constitutional Amendments Committee will not be meeting today after adjournment. We will be meeting on February 2nd instead to hear that same bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Allen. Any other matters to come before the body? Seeing none, if there is no other business, Senator De Leon, the desk is clear.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Colleagues, welcome back. We will have a session on Thursday at 9 a.m. Be very short. Let's try to be prompt, 9 o'clock sharp. What we'll do is we'll have a short session, and thereafter we will leave together from the Senate floor, Democrats and Republicans, at 9:40 a.m. We will leave together and walk over to the Assembly floor, where the State of the State by Governor Jerry Brown will take place at 10 a.m. promptly. So session at 9 a.m., bill brief. We'll walk together at 9:40 a.m., and then we'll be anticipating the State of the State at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Senator De Leon. The Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We reconvene Thursday at 9 a.m.